It's how do you react to that feeling of being threatened against that person?
Razi, oh my God, Razi, the feeling is what leads you to react or not.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with training.
But how you react, what happens after you feel that way is what we see. That's the training piece of it.
Yes, I agree with that. But how you feel has nothing to do with training.
Ferg never said anything about like the training.
Yes, he did.
No.
Yes, he did.
Hey, yo, what up, y'all? First of all, just want to say our hearts, minds, prayers go out to everybody that was affected by the storms. Recently, Ferg was one of them, so our co-host. And so we weren't able to record and bring you guys a new show over the weekend. He's still without internet, running off a generator, barely any power. So we weren't able to bring a new show. But what we wanted to do is just, again, bring you guys really some funny content. We reached back into the bag. We got 4.5 years of shows to be able to go back to, which is a blessing in itself. And we appreciate you guys for rocking with us through all of that. So we're going to jump back into one of our favorite episodes, as always, and try to curate something that you guys will enjoy and want to listen to again. So sit back, relax, and we'll jump back into it.
What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I'm your boy Ferg, joined my co-host Razi and Buff. Fellas, tell them what's on your mind.
$787 million. That's what Fox News has agreed to pay Dominion for talking greasy about them for all them months after the election. But, you know, I know a lot of liberals are celebrating, but it's actually a smart business move for Fox News because they were pretty much going to lose that case. And they were going to stand to have to pay a lot more. On top of that, the $785 million is a tax write-off for them. So, I mean, Rupert Murdoch, them like, okay, all right, fine, whatever. So they're gonna pay that, and they Gucci.
Yeah.
They Gucci.
No on-screen,
another
apology.
big part of it,
right? They didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
There, yeah. So they settled out of court.
Yeah.
You know, so basically, like, we're not saying we're wrong. We're just saying like we don't want to take this to court and all this because this is coming out.
Speaking of coming out, that's the speculation behind Tucker Carlson's firing, is that because they, you know, subpoenaed their text messages, they saw where he was talking greasy about Fox News management, saying how they need to be more pro-Trump, even though he didn't like them, but they're losing viewers to Newsmax and stuff like that. So he was questioning their leadership, and some people feel like that is part of the reason that they let him go. But also on another network, CNN, they let go
Don Lemon.
Sorry, folks, I got distracted by something in my house.
So I'm guessing that's a no girls trip when, huh?
It's cool. It's just what she's doing. She playing too much now. But anyway, let me get back to this. CNN let Don Lemon go. And the speculation there, it's a lot going on with him, like getting into it with a lot of journalists and staffers on the network behind the scenes. Some people pointed to this particular interview he had with this Indian American presidential candidate, where they were arguing about whether or not the NRA played a right in giving black people their freedom. It wasn't the Civil War, but it was, you know, the Second Amendment that helped them get their freedom. So that's speculating. And last but not least, Joe Biden, Uncle Joe, has announced that he is going to run in 2024. So took him a while to make it official, but he's made it official, and we may get a rematch of him in 45.
Yeah. Yeah.
You excited about that?
No.
When was the last good presidential election? When was the last time you got excited about
an election?
Obama?
Yeah, excited. Yeah, the first Obama. Obama.
I was excited. Truthfully, I was excited for Bernie. I really wanted Bernie. I know, you guys knew I was a Bernie bro. So I was excited for those primaries. But then when Hillary won, wasn't excited.
Well, I wanted to be excited for Bernie, but I just felt like he wasn't going to win it. Like, I just felt like it was, so.
Yeah, I was not a Bernie bro, but yeah. Okay.
So that's all you got, bro?
that's all I got, bro.
What else happened? SpaceX, they tried to launch a rocket and it blew up 4 minutes after launching. So they still haven't kind of perfected their little space stuff that they're trying to do in their rocket systems. But they say that they're going to be putting a person on Mars in the next 20 years or something. So we'll see how that works. I doubt that happens. What else we got? Viral video of the substitute teacher laying hands on the student and the yams that came along with that. Just want to throw that out there because the yams were yamming. What? I'm giving a rundown. Byron, you're messing up my rundown of the news, man.
No, it's true. It's accurate. People were talking about that as much as the fight.
Yeah, 'cause the fight was, I mean, it is what it is. Old girl swung on her. She whooped her. And the mom came out and was like, I don't know why y'all think I was mad at the teacher. I'm okay with the teacher whooping on her. So
I think somebody said they found out that was not the mother. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, because I'm not okay. I'm in the minority from what I can see on social media. I'm not okay with what that teacher did.
Oh. Well, we'll discuss that later.
We'll talk about it.
And what else? Finally, I wanted to talk with you guys about Super Mario Brothers because we didn't get a chance to review that. All three of us have seen it. I know there's some talk from John Leguizamo. He came out and he was like, he's not watching the movie because there's no black representation or no Latino representation in his view or whatever. But how did you guys feel about the movie? Did it have representation? Did it need representation? Anything like that?
I mean, half the characters are turtles with shells and a dragon. Like, I mean, are we really is this what we quarreling over right now?
Yeah. I mean, when you put it that way, Buff, you got to think, I mean, you take out the Mario family. That was pretty much all the humans. Like, maybe they could have had somebody. Maybe they could have had somebody in the background.
Toadstool to be like black, and the princess could be.
All right, I'm gonna throw it like this though. Like what color was Skeeter from Doug? Not the color on the screen. Did you associate him with a black character? He's black.
He's black.
Yeah.
Out of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, was there a black one? Raphael, like you associate
Raphael?
There are characters, even though they're animated, anthropomorphic, whatever, you associate them as a black character. And
no, I'm not. We're not gonna do this. No, this. Listen. I don't know for certain. Like, first off, Hollywood doesn't always get it right when they had black representation in Transformers, and that was complete garbage. Remember exactly.
Jazz, yeah.
And I think on part 2 as well too. Like he did like a little hip hop spin move, and it was lame as hell.
Yeah, he shucked and jived. Like he literally shucked and jived.
Yeah, I am for representation. I get his overall point, but in this movie, it's like, I mean, come on, man. Hell, King Cooper was kind of black. He was singing and shit.
But he came off as white. And I don't know about y'all, but I always looked at Donkey Kong as a black character. Like, for me, Donkey Kong was black. But maybe it's because he was a monkey. They like, we're not going to make him the black character. That wouldn't have been good.
Wow.
You said that. I was like, he's not going to say that. He said
I just said, I mean, maybe that's what they were thinking in saying, no, we're not going to do that. But I always pictured Donkey Kong as a black character. I don't know why. So, but get it. I get it. I get what he's saying. But yeah,
I never think about my video games.
We do associate a black character usually. And we just assign that race to characters. Especially back in our day as we were growing up, because you didn't have a lot of them. And so usually you had to assign just for, hey, recognition, that's a black character. I know I did it. Panthro was black.
Yeah, I didn't. It didn't go. Yeah, like when I go back and look at it, like, oh yeah, Panther was black. But when I was watching the movie, I mean, the TV show was like, thank God for Panther. I can relate to him. Thank God for Raphael, like, and Skeeter. Like, I was just like watching the show and then enjoying it. And then certain people might have been a little cooler than others, but it was just never. All the cool characters seem to be, we associated with being black. But it was never top of mind.
But that's all I had, man. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. I want to sneak a question in on the opening. So
you pulled one of my moves. And I felt like the latest news with Jonathan Majors made him look more innocent. That's the other pushback.
Until the PR firm dropped him.
I mean, he black, so.
Yeah, but I feel like that's when you get paid the big bucks. That's when you make your move and prove. If you get Jonathan Majors off, you build your firm. But
they're already a big firm. I mean, I don't know. They represented some of the craziest things that happened out there. I want to say they Johnny Depp. Okay. They're Johnny Depp's PR firm too. So
I thought so. But for me, I think the more it sounds very Deshaun Watson-ish, where all of a sudden you have all these people coming out, and I don't know what's going to come of that. You know, this is, you know, sort of a Me Too situation. You know, people are silenced, and I'm not saying he did or he didn't, or the women should be silenced if it's true, the story is true, but it's always interesting to see these things come out, and when the shit hits, it hits. Right? It's just not all of a sudden. Well, this isn't the first time he did anything like that. It's like, well, it's the first time I'm hearing about it. You know, it's always out of the blue comes all of these allegations that nobody knew, but then it seems like it's just numerous ones. Well, I guess I'll keep mine light because I feel like we're going to talk about my thing later. Today we're celebrating, I guess, the homegoing, the legendary Harry Belafonte, 96 years old, man, which is crazy, you know, to live that long. So he was a legend. I wasn't really that big into him, but I've heard him, I've seen it, I've respected his talent and his art. So, where are we at? Let's go ahead and jump into it. Do we have Sophie with us?
Yeah, man. Hold on.
Hello, Sophia.
Hello.
Hey, Sophie.
What's happening?
Hello.
We missed you. Where have you been?
I missed you guys too.
Yeah, blame your dad.
Oh.
What'd I do? Yeah, exactly.
What did you do?
He said you did. He just said blame you.
I just said blame him.
So that works. Yeah.
You'll see when you get older. Blame doesn't have to be legit. It just has to be blame.
That checks out.
How's it going? Do you got a good joke for us?
Yes, I have an amazing joke.
Oh.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Noble.
Noble?
Nobel.
Nobel? Nobel who?
Nobel, so I just knocked.
Okay.
I got you guys.
Yeah. When you said it, then I said, I was like, yeah, I see where this is going.
I thought she said no.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out. That was a good one.
Yes. I have another one for next week.
Oh, next week. Okay.
Yes, I'm prepared.
Looking forward to it. Don't give it to your dad.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you, big girl.
Bye, everyone.
Did I tell you I had a joke about the police and the light bulb?
No, you haven't told us a joke about the police and the light bulb.
I was just asking because I don't want to tell it. Oh, never mind. Let's go. Who's first?
All right. Like we won't beg. I'm fine. I don't want you. Good? Yeah, I'm good. You good? Yeah. What's wrong? Nothing. All right, that's it. I played that game before. Who wants to go first?
Okay. since I brought up the viral video, because that was one of my questions I wanted to talk through. And I'm glad you brought it up, Byron, that you had a different opinion than most. So I did want to see whose side you took in that situation, because the internet has blown up and they had it on both sides. I've seen people take the teacher's side. I've seen people take the child's side. So kind of your thoughts.
Well, I'm not taking anybody's side because the student should have had her ass in her seat. With that said, if you watch the video, and let me go ahead and start off. She was wrong. She should have been in her seat. But if you watch the video, she's reaching for her phone. Now, the teacher is doing what I like to call cop lie, and what I mean by cop lie is when they beating the shit out of a suspect, they say as loud as they can, stop resisting, stop resisting. So anybody that's listening can say, well, he was resisting. That's why he had to beat his ass. She says, don't touch me, don't touch me. The student is not touching her. She's trying to get her phone back, okay? And so the teacher shoves her. That is physical contact that you should not be doing on a minor unless you are protecting yourself. And again, before I continue with my point, because people automatically think, well, you don't think teachers should be able to defend themselves? Hell yeah, knock a student out if they try to mess with you. But her reaching for her phone is not you defending yourself. That's you sitting on ready. You ready for something to pop off. You hope something pop off because you have this advantage over this girl and you know that you can win. So when she reaches for her phone that second or third time and the teacher pushes her, the girl, again, you need to know your opponent. That teacher has some size on you, little girl. I don't know what made you think you could swing on her, but you did. But the teacher made the first physical contact, and that's what I have a problem with. The girl swung on and the teacher blocked that jump perfectly. I ain't gonna lie. Nope. It was like a movie fight scene, like, wow. He's like, boo. And then from that point it was on. And then on top of that, she went overboard by grinding the girl's face in the floor and all that kind of stuff. So listen, I argued about this enough when the video first came out. So this is all I'll say to you people who are on the teacher side and saying that the teacher got exactly what she deserved. Every family member that you have in the educational system, encourage them to handle a situation like that, and see how long they stay employed and be willing to pay their bills when they're probably more than likely fired. Because that is not how you do a minor. So my generation is so ready to see this younger generation who they think is the most disrespectful, most everything bad. They're so ready to see them get their whipped that they will cheer on something that really isn't correct behavior by an adult in this situation. But because we have so much disdain for the younger generation, and like all generations that always think the younger generation is much worse than the last, think that they got something that they deserve. This younger generation is no worse than ours. Our generation was no worse than the one before it. We just have more access and more visual evidence of this generation. My last point, I had someone say, well, the younger generation, man, I mean, you look at them now, they shooting up schools. I'm like, man, that's saying something coming from the generation that started school shootings. Hello, Columbine.
Get mic drop.
Well, you made a couple of good points. I'll go backwards. The Columbine, that was a one-off. That was the thing of our generation, right? Like
started it though. Copycats happen.
I mean, that's not the first school shooting, right? It always starts somewhere. When it becomes the norm. So the reason I say this is because it happened once. Now when things happen, when things become normalized, that's when I have the problem with it. So when you talk about the teacher pushed the student, okay, the teacher pushed the student, but the student didn't touch her. The way I always look at it is, my wife is an educator, and she deals with that type situation all the time because she works at an alternative school. So these kids are here for things similar to that. They act out. And she's fearful a lot because she just never knows how this is going to go down when a student is too zoned out on drugs, because a lot of these kids they're on it. And so
it's our generation.
Yeah. We can keep playing that game. That's fine.
It's not a game, it's facts.
There is a drug epidemic in the school system that they have not seen before. Especially the type drugs they're using. So, because I talk and talk to parents and educators about this because I mentor, and that's a big topic, is because of the type drugs they're using, especially with the Xanax and all these other things, and it's a lot of us people are doing.
You think that's worse than cocaine and crack?
I ain't really know that many crackheads at school.
So what do you think the movie Lean on Me was based on?
Okay, we're talking about Fair East Side versus the average school today. Like we had a conversation actually Sunday with my lamplighters about drug use, and they're like, "Yeah, it's everywhere. Everybody's doing it. Like it's almost
it was everywhere." When
I'm talking about
kids.
How many people were doing crack at John L. LaFleur in 1995 to 1999?
They weren't doing crack, but they were doing.
We're talking about weed and stuff. I'm not going to sit there and debate you about what kind of drugs they were using. What I'm saying is there's different reactions to drugs. Drugs have different reactions and different causes and stuff like that. But what I was saying was with the teacher, the kid was in her space. Like she was literally backed into a corner. Like the teacher kept retreating, bruh. She kept going backwards. She did keep going backwards.
She didn't retreat. She stood at her desk the whole time.
She was backing. Okay. All right.
There was nowhere for her to go. There was a wall behind her. There was a chalkboard next to her. She was trying to call up to the office or whatever. Like there was nowhere for her to go. And then the desk was in front of her, and the girl was coming around the desk. There was nowhere for her to go to get away anymore.
My biggest thing about it is when you were saying like, well, teachers shouldn't do this. I compare that same argument to men shouldn't hit women. You said know your opponent, know the situation. That's just like if a man hits a woman, like, well, he's bigger than her, he should never put his hands on her. This girl, when she was an initiator as well. So once again, like we said it a couple of weeks ago, there's a difference in being a victim and being a participant.
Well, by your scenario, a woman reaching for her phone that grazes a man is okay to hit.
Well, if she swings on him, which she did.
She didn't swing on him.
And he ducks it
after she got pushed. After she got pushed.
If she got pushed, go on about your business, call the cops. Somebody has to be an adult about it.
So if a woman is reaching for a phone in your scenario, a man can shove her.
If he shoved her and he goes, if the teacher would have shoved her, the girl would have stopped and called the police, the teacher would have went to jail.
So it's okay to shove a woman for reaching for a phone.
I'm not saying anybody's right. I'm saying that you're
well, I'm directing that at Razi.
Not reaching for her phone, but if she's reaching for my phone, like that's the thing. Because
she was trying to get
it's
her phone
that she's not supposed to have in school.
She's not in the right. She's wrong.
Okay, and we already said she's wrong. But again, taking the scenario Ferg just gave, Razi, that you just leaned in the mic and said yes to, a woman reaching for her phone, it's okay to be pushed by a man. Is that what you're saying?
If a police officer who's a position of authority, I'm not.
Don't change it. Don't change it. Use what Ferg just said. Use what Ferg just said that you leaned in the mic and just said yes to. Confirm that.
No, I will. I'll change. No, if it's her phone with another guy, because the guy shouldn't have her phone. That's illegal, right? I can't take your phone and then hold it from you. So no, at that point, he can't shove her. I mean, he's in the wrong. But if it's his phone, she's reaching for it, he can shove her off. If he has the authority. He has the authority to have that phone. And so that's why I switched it to a police officer, or somebody with authority to take your phone from you, right? For some reason. And then you reach and say,
okay, Dave Chappelle. So Dave Chappelle's concerts, you're not supposed to have a phone. Someone manages to get a phone.
If security takes their phone and they're trying to fight the security, yes.
Yes, the security guard's probably going to push the girl.
And security.
Get off of me, man. I'm back.
Really?
Give me my space. The teacher has the right to have her space too. Like you know what's funny? Because a lot of my students hadn't seen the video. And this is probably what the girl was thinking. You said, know your opponent. The kids, I don't know if it's just these kids. I expected if I ran up on one of these teachers in LaFleur, that they would not hold back on me in 20 years ago. I expect the teachers to do that. But when I said that, they're like, the teacher won? Because these kids think that they can't be touched. You watch so many other viral videos where kids wail on teachers, or the teacher won't defend themselves because they're fearful. And so this is another situation of kids thinking, I know the game, you can't touch me. That's why I compared it to women hitting men. There's so many scenarios when women hit men for whatever reason. Get out of my space. Well, I'm telling you to back the fuck up. Back the fuck up. We can talk about this, but get out of my space. I feel threatened. You swung at me. I'm not saying that I'm going to get knocked out, but now we're in an altercation. And so these kids, like, it was hilarious to see their reaction to the one, especially ones I hadn't seen. It's like, so the student lost? The teacher won? It's like, yeah. It's like, teachers can hit students? I'm like, that's your problem. You think that you're above the law.
I'll say this. Your wife is fairly small. And the use of force law, size matters when it comes to combat. So if your wife is teaching first graders that are half her size and she does that, no. But if she's teaching high school students like this woman was, she has a point. This lady is twice that girl's size.
But that's the same scenario with men and women.
Listen, I got it. No, it's not. This scenario is bad, by the way.
You can't defend yourself because you're buff.
If I shove the shit out of Tab and she hits me, then
she moved the girl out of her way.
No, she pushed her, bro. She pushed her.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but again, if you have family education, encourage them to handle it and be willing to pay for their livelihoods.
Herself at all costs.
And she was not protecting herself. She was waiting on the smoke.
What I'll say,
she wanted something to pop off.
You guys know I'm always the median on most things, and then I go left on crazy stuff. But in this situation, I'm kind of in the middle of both of y'all. And so that's why I've kind of been defending Ferg, and now I'm kind of gonna defend you a little bit, Buff. Is that my take on it is she did have a right to defend herself, to push that girl off. I 100% think she should have been able to push her off when move her out of the way when she's trying to hold this phone. Call up to the office. She's telling her to go sit down. The girl continues to get in her personal space and try to reach for that phone. I'm totally fine with her pushing her off. She didn't push her off. She actually pushed her hand off. And so she never actually pushed her body. But anyway, she pushed her hand off and then the girl swung on her. My problem with the situation is that she took it too far. In the military, we talk about, equal and a reaction, you give just enough effort or just enough force to subdue the opponent, that type of thing. She went above and beyond. She started wailing on that girl. Like you talk about smashing her face into the ground. Like she fought her is the issue. If she had just even pushed her down and just held her down and was like, go get somebody. At that point, I think she would have been fine. Even as a teacher, like Buff, you say, if a teacher reacts like she reacted, they're probably going to get fired.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
And that's the thing. It's like she went too far with her reaction. Again, she's a substitute. She's not a trained teacher. That's the other part about it. I get it. But, ultimately, to be in that situation, she went too far with it. She definitely shouldn't have been wailing on that little girl like that. She needs to be able to control herself if she wants to be in that situation as a substitute around kids. She needs to be able to control herself better. So I definitely agree with you there, Byron. But it's how it started and how it ended are two different things. I think there's some middle ground there that should be looked at.
Yeah, and she did more than push her arm. She pushed her twice. Actually.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at the video
twice because she kept approaching her. The girl kept getting going at her, and she's like, "Bitch, move! Like, get out the way!" Like, when people are wrong, we just have to admit sometimes they're wrong. The teacher, when Razi, when the shit
trying to get you to do.
Like the teacher took it too far when she was beating the girl up. She kicked her butt. Like I told her, she kicked her butt. But leading up until once you hit me, like now I have to okay, I do have 48 pounds, 50, 60 pounds on her. Now I had to think about that. She's in a zone. In her mind's like, I can't believe maybe she's like, I've been doing this for years. I've never had to fight a student. I can't believe I'm fighting this damn student. Like, controlled anger. We're talking about military. We're talking about police. We're talking about people who are trained to do these things and handle combat situations. And a lot of DV situations where people they snap. I can't believe she hit me.
Without the one, not two pushes. Without those two pushes, I'm with the teacher. I'm with her. But you can't initiate that contact. You just can't.
A student should never be that close. I hope a student never gets that close.
We could talk about a whole host of things students shouldn't do. That doesn't give you a right to hit.
Not hit her.
How do you handle that situation, Byron? If somebody's reaching in like that and you're holding the phone away from them because you legitimately took the phone because they're not supposed to have it, they weren't supposed to have it out. You told them, to take it away or whatever.
Listen, the way the girl was acting, I'm pretty sure it would have eventually came to that anyway. Like the girl probably would have been dumb enough to hit her had she not been able to get to the phone enough anyway, without the pushing. And see, without the pushing, then the teacher to me is completely in the right. But when you initiate that physical contact on a minor, okay, you're setting yourself up to be f***ed up over what? Keeping a cell phone away from a student? Like, this is the hill y'all want to die on?
If it's not this, it'll be something else. It's my things like,
let it be something else. Let it be something else that's worth it. Let it be something else that's worth it.
So the girls were expelled from school over a cell phone. Like, it's still like, this is the hill you want to die on? Like, it's still like.
If she's expelled, then who's in the wrong? Like, the teacher's still Gucci.
No, the teacher's she's probably get expelled. The teacher probably get fired. Like, I admit both of them are f***ed up. What I'm saying is...
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying without the teacher initiating the contact and never gives the girl a phone back, and if the girl makes first contact, then, hey, that's when you have a right to defend yourself comes into play.
When you get so close to me and I feel threatened that you might swing on me like this girl eventually did, like, you're making motion like, this bitch gonna swing on me. This little girl about to swing. Like, get away from me. Like, I ain't playing with you.
Since we're using scenarios during protests when black people come up in police officers' faces, you're telling me now it's okay for police officers to swing on them?
Because the police officers trained to handle that situation. That is the thing. They are.
That has nothing to do with it. That is the thing. Like, hear me out. Hear me out.
What are you talking about?
I said, hear me out. You use fear for your life. I mean, fear for your safety. That's what it ain't got nothing to do with training. Training has nothing to do with fearing for your well-being. So you're telling me someone getting close to you automatically translates to fearing for your well-being. Someone that's half her size and age, by the way. But you're now telling me that it's okay for police officers to take their stick and start wailing on people during
That's exactly
protests.
what I'm not saying. You're putting those words in my mouth. What I'm saying is, if you're paid and trained to... That's not what I said. What I said is, you take a civilian and you put them in a situation where eventually this is the type of girl that swings on people, because that's what she did. She proved her right. She swings on teachers. So I'm trying to get you off of me because I'm not trained at hand to hand. I'm saying, hey, little girl, back the hell up. We can talk about this cell phone. Like, give me my space. I don't feel comfortable. Back up. If the police are out there and they're part of riot control and they're literally there with riot gear and this is what they're paid to do. They do simulations for this.
Simulations have nothing to do with fear.
But then they're improperly trained. That's part of the problem.
Training doesn't cure that.
But that's part of the problem we have with the police force now.
No, that is not. Training has nothing to do with that. And it's also that's not training.
Like, there's a difference of getting up in your face on a peaceful protest. I'm walking up to you and I'm running up to you like I might hit you. That cop is probably going to push you off at that point. Or because I'm reaching for something that the cop has. Give me your baton. Give me your gun.
Because they're trained to know the difference.
You're changing the principles in that scenario. You're making the police officer the aggressor. The teacher is the aggressor.
No, I'm talking about the person. Like, the person running up to the cop. If they're running up to the cop versus walking up, we shall overcome. You get up close. Okay, that's very different.
The girl walked up to the teacher
and started reaching to pass her. no, she didn't just walk up. She was yelling like, "Give me my phone." She said,
I
"Give
don't
me
know
my
which
phone."
innocent girl
B.
Byron is talking about here, because this girl
Who said
is
innocent? I didn't say. I started off by saying she was wrong. I literally started off that way.
But
So
you're
what
making
I'm
it seem
telling
like
you
it was
is-
a peaceful protest to try to get her
like,
phone
this girl
back
walks
type
up to the
thing.
teacher.
No, I was using Ferg's words when he said, "When you're in my personal space, I feel a certain way."
As a
and so
civilian?
I have seen protests where people are in police officers' face, and we expect them just to stand there and take it.
Yes,
So which one is it? Is
Yes,
what I was
both.
asking. That's why I went to
both.
that.
Because as a civilian, that is not my job.
And he somehow
and
thinks
as
that
a trained
that
professional
feeling
that gets paid to do this,
is training. That has nothing to do with training.
It does.
That is feeling. It's
then
not.
why the fuck you have riot training? Why have any of this training? It's like, well, it's gonna go out the window anyway.
Training is how to deal with situations.
That
It has
is the
nothing to do with
situation.
feelings. You talking about feelings, bro?
No, once
You
you feel,
literally used the word feel. You said
Once
if someone's in my face and I feel, that's what you said.
feel threatened.
Yes,
feel threatened.
that's not training. That's not training.
How so? How so? If
Because do you not know the use of force laws? Do you
yes.
not know Tennessee versus Garner?
tell me how the teacher was trained to do any of
It's
this.
individually different. If a small female police officer is arguing with a 6'7" man, she has every right to use force versus a man in her same position at that same size. That has nothing to do with training. That's how those two individuals feel. The female or the smaller person is going to feel more threatened. She's going to feel that way versus the man that's much bigger than her in that same situation is not going to feel.
the small female officer.
She trains for that situation that, I feel threatened, but I know that I can take him down.
Yes.
I know what kind of force to use. She knows to grab her taser versus her gun. She knows those things because she's trained. And that's what he's talking about with the training piece of it. Is she's trained on how to deal with those feelings and those emotions and how to react to them.
But the training has nothing to do with whether or not you will react or not.
And that is
a feeling.
and that is the
Razi.
problem we have with police brutality right now.
She's trained with how to do it, but she's not. Training has nothing to do on whether or not she will.
And that is
That's
the
a
problem we have
feeling.
today with police brutality, because all of a sudden they throw that.
No, it's not.
That's my problem. That is my thing. Like because you use this as a scapegoat here. The same thing you're saying. Well, now the police officers feel threatened. It's like, well, you were trained to do this. You need to be de-escalate better. This substitute teacher is not trained to do that. Maybe it's on the school system to train them to de-escalate better. I don't know, but it's what, Byron? What?
No, I'm exhausted. It's good.
Oh, I love when we get in these conversations. I knew this was coming. My bad. I ain't mean to go here.
Again, I just want to start with my first thing though. Again, if y'all feel this strongly, encourage everybody in your family to handle it this way, and we all good.
I will.
If you're not gonna do that, then
I'm telling
most of the stuff you're saying,
hear me
is
out.
a wash.
I'm putting my wife in self-defense class in case she ever has to protect herself in a situation like that.
That
and
wasn't
if she
that
has to
teacher
do it,
protecting herself. Okay, you're not initiating contact on somebody that you're. Come on, man. That wasn't protecting herself. That's
you keep making this girl like she walked. Excuse me, ma'am. Can I have my phone? She's getting. You know what? You're right. It is what it is. Next question.
These boys say you can hit somebody for trying to get your phone.
That's not what I said.
A minor.
That's not what I said.
Who got next?
See,
I can tell you right now.
Words in our mouth.
If I'm taking some or
next?
one of my mentees run up to me and was like that exact situation, I probably would push them as well. I'd push them off as well.
Like you had like these kids don't know, like they're minors. They don't know that this big teacher can knock them out. They don't know that they shouldn't put their hands on people. They shouldn't run up on teachers. Minor, that doesn't mean anything. That's just like women making this excuse.
Listening, let me
that's just
talk to
the
the
same
audience.
excuse women make when men shouldn't put their hands on them.
Teachers protecting themselves. Don't hesitate. If a student decides to hit you, push you, I am for you protecting yourself. My advice, what these two brothers won't tell you, is not to make first contact with a minor. That's it.
Better yet, this is my last statement on it. See how there's this gray area that we can't agree on? That teacher has that same gray area where she felt like she was protecting herself. She was getting this kid out of her space. So there's no book that says, if she moves with her left arm, then you can do this. She moves with her right arm. It's like, hey, they're in your area. Protect yourself. So get off of me. This is the situation that's playing in her head. How do I handle this? I'm not going to hit her. I'm going to distance her from me. Like if a woman attack, you can hold a woman. You can distance. You have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to get them off.
Holding is different from pushing.
Hold
twice.
Yeah.
Holding is different from pushing.
It's another move to disengage and try to avoid a physical confrontation. That is my story. So if a woman did that to me and I'm like, I pushed her off of me, officer, because I was trying to avoid the confrontation, that is my way of handling it. I'm a civilian. I'm not trained to look at it this way. All I wanted to do was try to disengage and I was backed up and I had nowhere to go. So I pushed her off of me to get my space.
He also thinks training has something to do with feeling.
Yeah, I do think training has something to do with being able to de-escalate a situation.
Yes, that's two different things. You're saying two different things.
That's exactly what I've been talking about the same time.
The ability to de-escalate is physical ability. Feeling that you need to do something is how you feel.
Training
to de-escalate. That has nothing to do with training.
And then you react based off of, okay.
Because what are the ways to de-escalate something? What are the ways?
I'd say that was my last statement.
Pepper spray, push, knock them down. That's training. Should I do something? This man is yelling at me right now. I feel threatened. Same scenario. This man is yelling at me. I don't feel threatened. That's not training. That's how you feel.
And you train in those scenarios so that you know how to react to those scenarios and those feelings.
Yeah. The reaction, the actual actions is the training. Whether or not you should do something is how you feel.
That's what he's talking about, though. He's talking about the training is you can feel threatened all you want. It's how do you react to that feeling of being threatened against that person.
Razi, oh my God, Razi, the feeling is what leads you to react or not.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with training.
But how you react, what happens after you feel that way is what we see. That's the training piece of it.
Yes, I agree with that. But how you feel has nothing to do with training.
Ferg never said anything about like the training.
Yes, he did.
No.
Yes, he did.
You kept saying it. He kept saying how you react to that. How the outcome of it.
He started the scenario off with if someone's in my face and I feel. He said those words, and I feel, then my training teaches me how to react. I agree. Training teaches you how to react. Whether or not to react has nothing to do with training. That's how you feel.
Huh? I'm lost at that one. But okay.
That's cool.
Who got next question?
Let Ferg go.
That went way left from what I didn't think I was gonna go there.
Well, was that? Did you even get your question out?
Yeah, that was the question. I mean, just how we felt about it. So.
All right. So, I don't even know if you guys even agree with the question, but it seems like, so we know other people believe in negative stereotypes of black people, but sometimes it seems like just as many black people believe in those same negative stereotypes. So do you agree with that? And my question is why? Like, why do we also buy into some of the same whether it be like black people are lazy? I know we've had the conversation about not naming your kids black names, so when they submit it on a resume, they have a better chance of getting hired. Like even that plays into, the stereotype of, well, if I name her Shaniqua, that means ghetto. Like, why are we also helping with that stereotype?
More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants, including the $155 Walmart Plus monthly membership credit and $240 flexible business credit. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
If you think we do.
I don't think we help with it. I do think we perpetuate it, right? And that's a little different. Where I think like the ghetto names, probably an easy example, right? I don't know if we feel like the names are ghetto. What ends up happening is people that want to be able to move in white spaces and have that feel that they need to be in those spaces won't name their child that because they know that the outcomes of that, right? They know that it's going to make it harder for their kid. So you have to make that conscious decision. Do you want to deal with that or not for those names? And so it ends up perpetuating that ghetto stereotype because the people that don't really care whether they are going to move in those white spaces will name those kids that. So it ends up being that those names are more predominant in those black areas or whatever, ghettos, whatever you want to call it, because those are the people that don't care if they need to move in those white spaces versus the people, let's call it what it is, your middle class black people, whatever, that feel like they have to be able to code switch and move in those areas and in those environments. So they don't name their child that. So it ends up perpetuating it even more where now it is a ghetto name because the people that are in lower income areas and predominantly black areas or whatever ends up with those names. And then the people that aren't, because I'm moving in a white space, I'm not naming my kid that same way I didn't name my kid Razi. That's not a ghetto name, but at the same time, it was like, I know it's harder for that child. You know, I would know it was harder for me to get jobs and get callbacks because they couldn't pronounce my name. So I didn't name Oliver Orazio. Like, that's pretty much the reason why he's not a third. So I knew that I wanted to set my child up to be able to move easier in life based on that. And so that, I think that's what ends up happening with a lot of our stereotypes, where we just kind of buy into them. And even if we don't agree with them, we try to avoid them, right? Like we talked about the whole, sometimes I won't order watermelon or I won't eat chicken around folks because, you know, that's what they think black people like, or, you know, all of that. I'm always trying to be super early because I don't want to do that. We talked about tipping, right? The stereotype is black people don't tip. So I feel like I got to tip because that, like, I fight against them because I'm aware of them. But I don't think people, like, I think we jokingly talk about it, right? Oh, black people are always late or whatever. You on CP time with each other, to kind of lessen the sting, right? It's why strippers call each other hoes and stuff. It's why that's how we ended up calling each other niggas. Like, that's really what it was. It becomes a way to lessen the sting of it when we joke with each other about it. But then it ends up, now everybody just kind of still knows that that's kind of what the stereotype is.
If you look at how we protest, like we've talked about January 6th a lot here, and we all used the scenario where if those were black people, but we use that scenario on like how, you know, police would have handled them if they were all black. But also look at it as if January 6th was all black people, I just feel like that would still be used against all black people probably to the end of time. Like, look how they act when Obama doesn't get elected. Like, look how they act. But with the January 6th that did happen, it's not on all white people. At the very most, it's on, look how those Trump voters acted. But it's not like, look at how all those white people acted. It's like, even they get separated from a group. We never get that kind of benefit of the doubt. Like, look at those black people. It's like, yeah, that's how they act.
Yeah. In the diversity and equity inclusion space, we call that confirmation bias. And so that's really what it ends up being, is that you have your stereotype in the back of your head, and when somebody does something that supports it, you say, see, it's just like that. And when people does something opposite, you're like, oh, they're the exception. And so it's that confirmation bias, right? And so we always talk about the assumption of or presumption of guilt for black people and the presumption of innocence for white people, right? The people that participated in January 6th were the exception because white people don't do that, right? They only riot when their sports team wins. That's the only time they go and riot. Any other time, it's, they don't do that. Whereas us, we don't riot when our sports team wins, but we riot when, I don't know, police kill our people or something like that. But for some reason, we're the bad people when we go riot based on that. So it's just that. It's that confirmation bias of, oh, I have a stereotype in the back of my head already, and you supported it.
Well, there's a couple of things. I'm a firm believer most stereotypes don't come just out of the blue. There's a lot of truth behind stereotypes. Let's call it what it is. Sometimes those truths aren't as glamorous or positive as we would like them to be. Even going back to the names, I think you handled it perfectly, Razi. Like, more people who have, you said don't care. I'm not saying they don't care. Who have the ability or the station where they find themselves moving in a more diverse network, meaning being around more white people and doing that stuff. Those things have more importance. You prioritize those things more, right? People who probably don't have access or do not have those same things to think about, there's no reason for them to ever think about why their child's name would matter, why it would potentially, even though it may sound cool, why it may potentially make life harder for them. Random apostrophes, putting a Q where a K is, missing letters. Like, it sounds cool. It's, it sounds unique and stuff like that. But in the long run, and maybe certain people have been taught that, I look at the trade-off. Do I have this extremely athletic name to represent the cause? Or do I try to make my kid's life easier to navigate certain things? Like you said, Razi Oliver. I just was really big on, I thought about this. I was really big on having a junior. So I did make that gamble with Tavares. TJ, by the way. So that's one thing. There's a lot of truth behind these stereotypes. And sometimes we got to face them and decide, do we want to change the narrative? We talk about, black people being bad with money and bad credit and all these things, a lot of that comes from just history. That comes from just situational awareness. Like, we haven't had enough and long enough financial stability and financial literacy to make a dent in the greater population, right? Like, so when we're looking at somebody die, like, did they have insurance? We joke about fish fries and GoFundMe's. Like, that's what we expect to see with a lot of people who die, black people who die. That's a stereotype. Black people don't get life insurance. Are we taught about that? Or is the vast majority taught that? Or has that been normalized to have life insurance? There's a cool stereotypes. We can all dance and all that stuff. That sounds great. To me, I think all the cool stereotypes on black people is all about entertainment. It's all about entertainment, which I mean like sports, all that stuff. But nothing that really progresses the culture, unfortunately. I can't think of one positive black stereotype that progresses the culture that doesn't revolve around entertainment.
Yeah.
Like,
I do want to push back on that thought of there's some like truth behind these stereotypes. Most times there's not. Most times, black people being bad with money is actually not true. Black people probably can stretch a dollar more than most because they are been historically poor. The problem has been economically, they haven't had the extra money to plan for, say, retirement or plan for, death and things like that, because they're stretching a penny to make ends meet. So while they may not be planning for it, I don't think that's not being good with money. That is, hey, I'm doing the best I can. for it.
Well, I'm talking about financial literacy as a whole. I'm not talking about, I agree. Like, I've been around where people have to stretch a dollar. What I'm saying is making it to that next level. Like building generational wealth as a norm.
Yeah,
doing things like again, making sure everybody
there's trailer parks that are exactly in that boat, and nobody says white people aren't bad with money because of that. Like, we have
not only that, I think a lot of our generational wealth has, like, it's been cut off. Like, if you look at all the way back to Tulsa, Rosewood, like anytime we had thriving communities, like we talked about riots, they come and burn it down and cut
that's
us
why
off.
I said the history. That's why I said look at the history. That's why I said the history behind it.
Yeah, okay.
So what I'm saying is, it hasn't been steady. There have been more things to stop us from progressing financially than to help us. Yeah,
but that's what I mean by that. Like, the stereotype of them being bad with money isn't right. Like, the stereotype, there is no truth behind that. Are more black people poor, and poor people don't make good financial decisions or yes, but that's not a stereotype. That the stereotype of being bad with money and black people being the only people that are bad with money is not true, and it's false. Well, and so that's what I mean.
Well, no stereotype is no. I'm not saying stereotypes are true. I'm saying there's truth behind. Like, it's because you find yourself that more black people are poor, are probably more economically struggling. The things that go along with those things that people who are struggling economically fall prey to black people. Like, we don't have the extra money to buy certain things. We don't have the financial. I mean the wealth. You know,
yeah, our parents weren't able to teach us about it because they didn't have it. Yeah,
you know, education. You know, like all those things, like. We're trying to break those quote unquote generational curses, whatever, because history has set us back. And so when you look at, you know, the financial aspect of it, when you look at the names and how we have to move around, like, there's some truth to it. Like, there are these ethnic names that black people have created. Everybody has their own name, but, like, you know, you have, and the thing about it is we've changed it and we put so much emphasis on it, where you have other cultures who will keep their names. Right, they you know, they will be Mohammed. You know, they will keep their names and have you work around it. But you start to see that shift too, because now they whitewash their names as well. Being in the medical field, you know, I meet people all the time, and it's like, yeah, call me Mo, and it's like, you look at Mohammed, you know, or as Al, and as, you know, like, they have all these long names, like people can't pronounce it. You know, call me Tina, and it's really trends, like, it's 18 syllables long. Byron, I think, I don't, sometimes I do, I think with the stereotypes, like I said, there's some truth to them.
I mean, yes,
I don't know.
Black people do love watermelon and chicken. I'll give you that one.
So I'm with Razi with the pushback that he gave you, but I disagree with him. I do think I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of us do, maybe without thinking about it, kind of buy into it a little bit. Like I know black people that are in the position of hiring people, and they look at these names sometimes, and even they'll say, you know, hi, that ghetto ass motherfucker. Yeah, you know, you're like I think we do it as well sometimes, man. But
because think about it. Chances are, if you hire Shaniqua, how many Shaniquas are you knowing? What's the nicest part of Maryland? You know, you know, it's there's a good chance that Shaniqua, now you're about to pull up a Coach Prime. You know, like, I want my junior executive to come from a 2-parent household in Upper Maryland, where, you know, like, and so in your mind, you build these ideas of it. Good, bad, or indifferent. Shaniqua could be the most, and to all our Shaniquas out there, nothing against you, that's just a default name, might be the most qualified, best suited candidate they will ever have. But at the end of the day, bias has taught us that, and then how do I look hiring goddamn Shaniqua? Like, that's going to look, you know, they going to look at me when Shaniqua Jackson walks into the office the first day. Especially if there's not a lot of black people around. And is not even Byron, is the white business owner, the white hiring manager going to be quick to hire Shaniqua Jackson? I mean, we got to play. We're still playing by the rules.
That's all I got. We got time for the third one, Razi?
Nah, once we close it out, we'll already be at like 110.
I see 103.
It's Razi's fault. He had the opening question and then his official question. He took up the whole show. Oh, man.
So we got 3 questions. I just got 2 of them.
Once again, like I said, Sophie, blame daddy. All right, let's go ahead and close it on out then.
Well, Inspire You on air. I know you guys haven't been with us that long. I think maybe a little over a year now, has it been, Razi? Mm-hmm. But I don't think we've argued like that since the Looting is Bad episode. And it's always good to get the yelling juices flowing, man. So we still brothers in this, and those are always my favorite episodes when we disagree. So we hope you were able to follow the arguments and enjoyed it. And hopefully you're yelling at me or you're yelling at Ferg. Razi was kind of in the middle, but still yell at him anyway because it's his damn fault.
Yeah, just yell at Razi.
Yeah.
We can agree on that.
But other than that, man, I did want to say, speaking of being exhausted, because I said that during the argument, Bill Maher, who I like, especially love his New Rules segment on his show. On his latest episode, he brought up Chicago. That's everybody's go-to on black crime. But he brought that up and he posed the question, why aren't black people saying anything about black on black crime? For the last time. And black people do talk about, and first off, we don't really call it black on black crime, but we do call it crime. We talk about it. There are groups in all of these cities that every single day, boots on the ground, are fighting to make a difference. You've heard Ferg talk about his lamp lighters, like even things like that. He's not necessarily like snatching up gangbangers and trying to change them, but he's trying to mold these young men into being productive citizens going forward. Like there are so many groups out there that are doing whatever they can to keep these young people from killing one another on the streets of DC, Chicago, Baltimore, LA, and wherever else you want to think of. So whenever you say that, it negates the hard work that those people are putting in, and we need to stop saying that shit. Other than that, man, the last 2 things I got is 1, Snowfall concluded its series. We talked about Jonathan Majors earlier. Oh, my bad, Ferg. I'm not gonna give away no spoilers. No spoilers, dog. I'm not gonna give away no spoilers. But we was talking about Jonathan Majors earlier. His name, Damson Idris' name, has been rumored to replace him if Marvel decides to replace Jonathan Majors. The only thing I'll tell you about that Snowfall finale, Ferg, Damson Idris acted his ass off in that final episode. I can't wait till you check it out.
And I'll say that Snowfall finale definitely is up there as like one of the best finales to wrap up a series ever. And it is what I wanted Game of Thrones season 8 to be. Like, you saw his downward spiral. You saw it coming. It wasn't like oh my God, where did that come from? From like, Game of Thrones. And so it's...
Don't give away too much.
I'm trying not to, but it is chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Just stop. There's an option. Great series, great finales, final season, the end. Yeah, because in episode 3...
He can't help it. He just can't help it.
What?
You didn't do it because we stopped you.
I didn't. That was it. I was ending it with that is chef's kiss. It is up there. We talk about how series are end badly so often, so I wanted to give them the flowers on actually wrapping it up well.
Yeah.
The other thing is talking about shows.
I hope I said his name right too.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Damson Idris. Yeah.
And the only thing I had is a show as well, Netflix. There's a show on now called How to Get Rich. You guys know I'm all about financial planning and everything. It's a good series. I think it's like an 8 episode. Dude walks people through, their issues and actually gets deep into like their bank accounts and credit cards and talks through it. And he gives you really good tips on how to deal with finances as a couple and in a relationship and how to get out of debt and how to make plans and those types of things. Some of the stuff I don't too much agree with, but he does give you the blocking and tackling of finances. So it's a really cool kind of take on it, more of a reality. Think of it like a House Hunters type thing where, you know, somebody's walking in and kind of telling you what's happening and helping you out with it. It's kind of like that. So it's just a really cool little eight episode show if you really want to kind of look at some finances and things like that. So it's called How to Get Rich on Netflix. Other than that, man, listeners, thank y'all. Inspire You on air. Appreciate you guys. Check us out on threebrothersnosense.com. Go in there, get some merch. Summer's coming. We got new merch out there. So check it out. Order you something. Get the name out. I got my new Three Brothers t-shirt on right now. So go check us out. Get the word out. Keep talking about Three Brothers No Sense.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. You guys said some good stuff that made me have to change what I want to talk about. So, but first of all, with the black on black crime, I hate, it makes me cringe every time I hear people say that, because no other ethnic group talks about that. We can talk about black on black crime, but when we talk about Black Lives Matter, if there's a black on black crime thing, then Black Lives Matter. Like, I mean, it's okay to say black then. Like, we're identifying that, hey, there's a certain amount of crime in the black neighborhood that needs to be addressed. But when we say Black Lives Matter, well, all lives matter. Well, doesn't all crime matter? Like, crime is crime. Like, I don't get it. I get frustrated every time I hear that. I don't know if you guys ever heard me say that. I always compare the two. I was like, so we can say black on black crime, but we can't say black lives because all lives matter, but black crime is greater. So all black isn't equal. So just consider that. Like, crime is crime. We have, like you said, there's so many groups in every demographics, in every, that are addressing crime in their neighborhoods. So black people aren't any less focused on crime than any other group. It's just you're not going to go to Chicago and look for a group a black group that says we're addressing black on black crime, because we don't call it that. We just call it crime.
Or youth services, or we're helping our youth, or what?
Yeah, we just call it the same thing you guys call it. What we don't use, that's what it is. Bill Maher, your Google search is wrong. That's the answer. That is the solution on why white people don't think we talk about black on black crime, because that is not in black Google. That's not in our search engine. We don't call it that. And as far as shows, I'm behind on Snowfall. I stopped watching. I'm playing catch up. I got a couple of seasons to go. I started binging shows, so I'm binging this, Sopranos, and something else right now. It's tough binging multiple shows. It's not a good look. Definitely not a good look. But definitely love the series. Definitely good shows. Excited about a couple of things coming out. I'm waiting for the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action show to come out on Netflix soon. Oh, hopefully soon. I'm excited. I hope they do that right, because representation does matter, and hopefully they do have more Asian Americans, or not Asian Americans, Asians period, in that show. And I'm seeing good things about that. So representation, that was a big part of it. Outside of that, once again, thank you to all our listeners. Thank you to on all platforms, including Inspire You on Air, the new beat of the Bay. This is Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. 6 rules of podcast: listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.